And I kid you not, I'm not exaggerating it just because you're interviewing me, but I think that was the only thing I needed for my November GK prep and like for the quick revision.
One sad and one happy tale from the preparation journey. If your maths is weak, then what should you do to prepare at least a certain level of? And now talking about GK, what were the sources which you use? Tell me, how are you feeling after this election?
Okay, so I just got the news 15 minutes ago that a
Okay.
person has filed a petition again against results, like today, I think. But I feel like now I don't feel too nervous about it because the court hearing will be on Monday, and hopefully the first merit list will be out by then. So
Okay.
I hope so it doesn't go anywhere else. Yeah.
And what about your ranks? Changes in the ranks. Firstly it was released, then again it was revised. What were the changes?
So for me, obviously, I got a better rank. Initially, it was 111. Now I got an 88. So I do feel better because with 111, I feel it was sort of on the edge. So you still have like
Yes,
some
for NLS and NALSA.
apprehensions about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So with 88, definitely I'm in a safer zone. But I don't know if like all these 5 months of anxiety and everything was worth it. So it's like mixed feelings. I'm not like too elated because it was like such a long process that I feel everybody was tired and nobody's like obsessed with the ranks anymore.
Yes, right now everybody was like, let's just keep aside all the hearings and all, tell us the rank.
Yeah.
Whatever, be
Yeah.
it we are selected or not, we just want to know the rank and we want to move on. So,
That is true.
yes,
Definitely.
things are too overwhelming, especially for a student who has a lot of exams overhead. For example, MHCT was there, CLAT was there, the board exams were coming, so they were kind of stuck. But that's good. So, what about the new petition? Someone has filed again.
Yes, and
Okay,
it's a
for what?
student actually. So basically, there was this question this year in legal reasoning, which was about a contract and whether it is like voidable, and like that. So basically, they had petitioned initially that it is out of syllabus. So High Court, it had ordered that for the removal of that question, and I was very sad then because I had gotten that question right. But finally, Supreme Court said that no, it wouldn't be removed. So now I think he has filed again in like relation to that.
Okay. So, what are you deciding
Yes.
now, NLS or NALSA?
It was such a heavy debate for me, honestly, because I started my prep in like October 2023, and like since day one, so the moment I sat in CLAT, Nalsar was like the end goal. Like
Okay.
I was not wishing for NLS. NLS was never in my wallpapers and anything. It was always Nalsar for me. But yeah, I think it just ended up being NLS for me now.
Okay, all right. So I guess you'll be joining the college in a month, in a month or one and a half.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So we'll start with talking about your prep journey. First of all, without me asking any questions, you tell me from the beginning to the selection time, what was your journey? How was your journey?
Okay, so I feel like for me, destiny played a very big role because I never saw law as something that I want to do. I thought like I would be pretty set as a forensic psychologist, to be specific, somewhere in Europe. And I was already looking up for courses related to forensic psychology in Europe and everything. So this is like about August 2023. So in Chandigarh, I live in Chandigarh. So here, moot courts they happen for grade 11 and 12. So one of my friends, she knew like she wanted to do law and everything, so she was going for a moot court and she needed a partner, so she asked me to tag along, and I was like fine, it's gonna be an experience, and I didn't take it seriously. Then so the school moots, they are a lot simpler than the college moots, but still like the process is the same. You memorial and then you have to make your oral arguments and then present it, and I loved the whole process, like researching case laws, then making a oral argument and then presenting in front of the judges, even like the roasting of judges. I loved that. And after that I realized like, oh, maybe this is something I want to do, and then I started my research about like what are the law options in India, and then I found CLAT. So my journey started in October of 2023, and I was in like a weekend batch, so not too serious. And then finally in grade 12, when that became in. So I knew that competition was definitely on the higher side here if I want to make it to like the top NLUs. And then I sort of had this arrangement, like I had to go to school twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that it worked, but then I had to give all the exams, and the school was a Badration too. So through all of it, like it was a roller coaster, if I have to say,
Okay.
because so touch wood, I never had to really deal with like very low scores ever, but I was, for me, one moment was that for 3 months I was stuck at the 80s in my mocks, and that was like, I know like people are in a lot more difficult position than that also, but for me I was like, I'm making no progress at all and everything. But yeah, I think finally by November I was pretty confident, and that is when I actually you had this marathon, GK marathon. It was, I
Yes.
think, 10 or 12 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, I'm not exaggerating it just because you're interviewing me, but I think that was the only thing I needed for my November GK prep and like for the quick revision. And I was so confident with my GK by the end, because I
Mm-hmm.
think GK is one thing which really puts people, in difficulty at the end months, because other subjects, I think they are more on the, like how much you practice it. So that is something you build over the months. But I think GK is something that most aspirants are nervous about, especially in the last
Exactly.
month when you have
It's
so much
uncertain.
to revise, right? So I feel, but I was pretty confident. And so it was on 1st December, and I walked in, and on the ride to the center from my home, which was like about 20 minutes, I was palpitating. Like I was sweating, I couldn't breathe, I was hyperventilating. It was bad. But the moment I stepped out, and there were hundreds of students there, I was at ease, because I don't know, I felt like I had done everything anybody could have done about it, and I walked in pretty confidently. And for me, I was just afraid that when the paper starts, that's when I'll get anxious and I wouldn't be able to focus. But again, I don't know, God's grace, it went pretty calm for me. And actually, I completed my exam, I would say, in like 1.5 hours. Like under that I was done, and then I was just sitting and going through the AR question, which is the set that came, and I couldn't solve that. So yeah, for me it was pretty well. But the moment I stepped out, for me, I thought that it was too easy. And like I cried on the way home, because I was like, cut off बहुत ऊपर जाएगा, नहीं हो पाएगा. Cut off is going to be so high, because I felt it was on the easier side, and especially with the AR. I was only thinking about AR on the way back, because I feel like for me, logical had become my strongest suit when I was going to write the paper. And that was something where I was thinking, oh, I'll get like at least 23 on 24. But then that AR set just, reversed my
So,
plan.
did you
Like,
attempt that AR or you just saw the question and left it?
I tried solving it. Like okay, so here it's a bit unusual, because for me, I never was like aiming for NLU Delhi. So like here's the perspective that I never really attended any AR class. I never really did the one liners or anything which is required for ALIT. So for me, either ways, I was shocked that why is there a AR here, because I never attended any class of it.
Yes.
I still tried like doing it, so I made the set like 2-3 times, but I wasn't able to like arrive at anything. So yeah, that is why my attempts this year, there were 114,
Okay.
and the 6 questions which were left for
So
the
you just
entire
left
AR
the
set.
AR portion, right? So you
Yes,
were lucky,
yes.
because if you wasted your time on the AR question, then you would have left the math section, because that was the okay. So what was your order for the examination? In which order did
Okay,
you attempt the
so
exam?
I feel like for me, the time that I take like for mocks, even like since like October, I think that was my strength in the game, because
Mm-hmm.
I had somehow utilized like my strengths, which were like the reading sections, to the point that I could complete the whole paper in like 1.5 hours.
Okay.
So how I began was, I would begin with English, and by the end of my preparation, I would get done with the English section in about like 15 to 18 minutes, like the all of it. And then I would do logical, and logical again, it would take me about 18 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then sometimes, like in the exam, I went for legal after that, and I
Mm-hmm.
would I would try to like get done with legal in about 20 to 25 minutes. And so for math, for me was always a bummer. Like
Mm-hmm.
initially, for the longest period of times, I was getting zero in the mocks.
Okay.
So I knew that math is something that is gonna bother me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how much I tried, I could never finish it in 15 minutes. So that's when I thought that if I could, like, utilize my strengths to such a point that I could easily give myself 35 minutes for math, then I'll be able to do it. So
35
then
minutes.
I would take.
Okay, that's
Yes.
huge.
I know that's huge, but then I knew it, like, मेरे से math नहीं हो पाएगा, but अगर मैं
Mm-hmm.
बाकी sections को इतना like capitalize कर लूँ on my reading speed that I'm able to comfortably do math जितना भी time लगे. So that then I would take, like, जितना भी लगता था 25 to 35 minutes depending upon, like, the mocks and everything. And then for GK, in mocks, I usually left like 10 minutes at max. However, this time in examination, because we had this one paragraph which was from, like, history,
Yes.
so that was sort of, now here what happened was, I feel like a lot of students, they start doing GK at the end because उस
Mm-hmm.
time पे पता होता है कि हाँ तो आपको आएगा या नहीं आएगा. So there's no point contemplating it again. So I feel like this time a lot of students also lost their marks in GK because everyone thought कि सीधे सीधे questions होंगे end में कर लेंगे. But this time again, like 2024 answers were in the passage
Yes.
and कोई मतलब direct questions बहुत कम आए थे. So I feel like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of students left off. Okay. So in exam, I just happened to be, मैं English मेरा हुआ. I was moving to logical and I was just looking at कि GK में है क्या. And the moment I recognize कि oh, this is like very lengthy passages, एक page के पूरा passage है. And like question type से पता लग जाता है if it's something you'll
Mm-hmm.
direct और paper से देखना है. So this time I think I spent like 15-20 minutes on GK and like जो last का passage था history का मुझे कुछ नहीं आता था. Like I knew
Okay.
nothing about it. Like when I
All
started,
right.
I
For the
was
GK
there, I
section.
was yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like first I think एक Olympics पे था passage, there was one on some bill, and last वाला मेरे set में था of the history one, which was I think
Mm-hmm.
civil disobedience.
Yes, yes, civil
And
disobedience.
the first time I
So
read it,
basically,
I
they
knew
were
nothing.
subjective questions. I saw one question and I
Yes.
thought like all the four options are almost correct.
Yes,
Just
exactly.
subjective thing. Yes.
But I think for me that played in my advantage because I knew nothing about the subject. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I could just I went with the options which I thought would be like best suited. So I solved that passage more as if it's a logical ka passage rather than GK.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, for me it went well at the end.
So, which stream are you from?
Humanities.
Humanities. And from where
Yes.
are you?
Chandigarh.
Chandigarh. All right. So, firstly, I would like to ask a question which is most commonly asked by the student. That's from the past 2 years. The GK section has been really like easy. You just get
Yeah.
all the answers
Yes.
from the passage. What's your take on this?
Yes.
How should student prepare? Should they just leave the GK preparation? Like, what's your views on this? How should they deal with the section?
I feel like obviously it's like my whole November, I think basically I spent it around GK only more than any of
Mm-hmm.
the other subject. So obviously one could think then when I stepped out of the center, I would have been regretting that maybe I should have spent some more time on other subjects rather than GK if it were to come so easy. But I feel like I would still recommend that you should go all in with your GK because of only one thing, that when you are at the center, I think for me especially, the confidence that I had in my preparation, that was mostly because of GK. Because again, like I said, all the other subjects, they're purely based on how much you practice them, how much time you give, and GK is the one where you need to like have a different approach about studying.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I don't think that because of the past 2 years people should start neglecting GK, because I
Mm-hmm.
still think it could be one of the make or break sections. Because again, like I said, कि बाकी sections में still अगर आपसे कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, maybe if you give it more time हो सकता है. But then again, अगर GK में कुछ question आ गया, यहाँ तो आपको आएगा या आपको नहीं आएगा. There's no other way around. So for me, I would still say
Exactly.
GK should be like the prioritized. Yeah.
Also, if we see the papers before 2024, then everybody knows how CLAT asks the GK section. So
Yeah.
definitely you have to prepare for that. Okay. Now the next thing. Did you give CLAT in 11th?
Yeah.
No. And so,
Yeah.
what was your feeling on the exam center? Like, generally, I have asked 11 students, so they have given the exam in 11, so it's like they are quite familiar with the examination scenario in the 12th
Hmm.
class. But since
Hmm.
that was your first encounter with the CLAT center and CLAT paper, so
Hmm.
what was your reaction? What feelings did you had?
Okay, so I think it would have been really bad, but there was something that I did which saved me from that anxiety. So so basically, I don't know about other places, but in Chandigarh, the career launcher um, institution, it conducts
Mm-hmm.
its like mocks. I think in November it conducted one of its mocks
Mm-hmm.
exactly at the place where the CLAT exam happens. So I
Okay.
was never enrolled at my one of my friends, she was enrolled in
Mm-hmm.
that institution.
Mm-hmm.
So she just told me, oh, that they are conducting a mock in that institution. And so I was like, that is when I thought that I should go there. So I would get, like how the exam center will feel. And because obviously a lot of students went there, so it was crowded also. So I think that prepared me for the final day.
So, what would you suggest the students? How should they prepare for mock? Should they follow just one coaching's mock, or should they go for different coachings?
Okay, so I feel like I don't know if I'm not gonna name any
What did
institution, but
you
most
do?
of them.
So, you solved just
So
single coaching mocks, or you solved multiple coachings?
I tried, I think, all of the very famous institutions, their
Mm-hmm.
mocks. I tried everything, but I didn't like most of them. So there were just two institutions जिनके mocks मुझे ठीक लगे.
Mm-hmm.
So since August, then I started alternating between them.
What's your say? What is the role of offline mocks in the preparation? Like many students, for example, you must be knowing that most of the students prepare for CLAT in online mode. And when you
Hmm.
prepare for CLAT in online mode, you always get that
Hmm.
test portal. You have to just select the correct
Yeah.
options. For example, if we talk about our batch, we provide offline mocks. But if we
Hmm.
talk about the normal scenario, it's that you get the test portal and you just, one side there are
Hmm.
passages and then on the other side there are questions.
Hmm.
So is it actually useful, or they should give offline mocks using that OMR sheets?
I feel I have a very strong take on this because firstly, the examination you're giving is offline,
Yes.
So there is no point of like you neglecting giving mocks offline because again,
Mm-hmm.
what I feel is that firstly, like your when the D-day is there, when it's your exam day, nothing is gonna go how ideally expect it to be. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like when you are like giving online mocks, you are in the comfort of your room or wherever you are and everything. So I feel like there are a lot of externalities which you don't like face if you're not giving offline mocks. To begin with,
Mm-hmm.
the invigilator coming again in and bothering you, like you wouldn't be prepared for that, because
Yes.
again, like if you are giving it
So
at
did you
home,
face
you'll
something
give it.
like this? How was the center? How was the invigilator?
Mine
Like
was
I remember my
pretty.
first encounter when I went to the center. No, my invigilator. That was my first attempt. So that invigilator was eating samosas and he was talking to his fellow invigilator. And so
I
and
remember
on the
this. I've
second
seen your
exam as
video.
well, for the A-Lit
Yeah.
exam, my center was just near a gurudwara. So
Oh,
there were
yeah.
loud music. I guess that was the time for the prayer. So that was not a big issue. But the main issue was
Uh,
the vice principal of that school came because the student in front of my desk, the center had placed him on the wrong classroom. Actually, his place was on the other classroom, but he made him sit on that desk. And
uh-huh.
then they were debating for this, that what should solution should we do right now on the inside the classroom. So sometimes we need to confront them as well. So did you encounter anything like that?
So for me, it was pretty like okay, except for this time that two of the students, they did not have like their original identity card, so there was some issue with that, so they had to go out or something. Other than that, it was pretty okay, but because of this very given reason, I say like if somebody is attempting a mock online, they are going to give themselves proper 2 hours, but if you give it offline, you'll understand that it is never 2 hours. It'll
Mm-hmm.
be like 150, 145, 155, something like that. So I feel like offline mocks prepare you better for like the final day.
Okay. Now the main questions. You have 5 sections. I want two advice from your sides for your juniors for each and every section, starting from RC ending
Okay.
to quants.
Okay. So for RC, I would say is definitely, I feel like a lot of students, what they do is they try to apply the same approach to RC and logical.
Hmm.
Because again, it makes
Exactly.
it's like
Good
the
point.
same paragraph and then questions. But I feel like the way they are to be approached is very different.
Hmm.
So for RC, I would say for me, what used to happen was that there are some silly mistakes that I did in like around August, September. I thought that, oh, this is easy, this is easy, cakewalk and everything. So what I started doing was that I would not read the passage. Like I would take an overview and then move to questions. And I was like, sometimes you could just guess. मतलब उस टाइम तक ऐसा हो जाता है जब यू आर एट अ पॉइंट ऑफ प्रिपरेशन जहाँ पर आपको लगता है कि आपको क्वेश्चन देख के एंड ऑप्शन देख के सॉर्ट ऑफ आइडिया लग जाता है कि कौन से गलती होंगे एंड कौन से आर बाउंड टू बी राइट. So I think there it was a blunder. I started losing marks in RC and I was like, this is not supposed to happen.
So reading
And
passage is
second,
important.
yes. And second, I feel is vocabulary. Now, what I mean by that is like, I take it not everybody has like a fluent English if we talk about.
Hmm.
So what they try to do is memorize words daily and everything, which is obviously helpful to a certain extent. But then how many can you really do it? Like if we realistically speaking. So I feel like for that contextual meanings and everything that is very important. Like sometimes what people do is they view the word which is given and then they're like ये तो नहीं आता है next question. So I feel like most of the times contextually आपको पता लग जाता है कि किस sense में हो रहा होगा and everything. So I feel like try to see the context of the words like that.
Okay. Alright.
So
And
these
legal.
would be for RC. Yeah, legal. For legal, I think firstly the most
Okay, before
common
you say something about legal, there's a very big query from the students that this year there was a question which required external knowledge. And till an
yes,
extent, what I know, they removed that questions, those questions.
yes.
So basically, CLAT, the consortium has made it clear that we don't need any prior knowledge. But what do you suggest? Is it required to study the theories beforehand and then go for the practice, or there is no need of theory and then just go and solve the legal reasoning questions?
So what I feel is it's like sort of mixed reaction to this because few of them they were very simple. I would say like like whether a certain contract is like voidable or it's valid. I think that is something so basic that even अगर आप ध्यान लगा के भी नहीं पढ़ोगे ना theory, that is still
Makes
something you
sense.
will
Yes.
see in your eating and everything. तो वो तो आपके मतलब हो जाता है ingrained.
Hmm.
But yes, there was one question. I got it wrong. It was like which of the following contracts is gonna be like a void, or I think void
Minor
or
one.
voidable something. Yeah, so
Yeah.
one of them there was kisi ne, I think they bribed the government or something, and one
Hmm.
was a contract with a minor. So I picked the minor option, and I think it
Hmm.
was wrong. The government,
No,
that was
actually,
right.
yeah, it was wrong because a contract with a minor is valid in particular scenarios. When
Yeah.
we'll come to the first year, you'll get to read about all these case laws. So there's a question. So I
So
read that question and I was like, okay,
huh,
this is a nice question, but this should not be in the CLAT exam if there is
yeah.
no information about that inside the passage.
So when I came across that question, I was like, obviously, like A and B options were gone. It was between
Mm-hmm.
C and D. And then I looked at the passage, like something would be there, but there was nothing. So yeah, this really put me in a fix because I was like, I don't know. So for that, I feel like
Mhm.
yeah,
So,
like you
but
said
coaches
that
have started making mocks based on these passages, just looking at these passages,
yes.
and now they are adding passages which require additional knowledge for solving the questions. So, should they do this just because of one
So
single question?
I feel like definitely if you have time for it, so going through the theory ones of the
Mm-hmm.
the from the surface level, I think it never hurts anybody because of course
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna save a lot of time in mocks because obviously when you're solving a passage in the mock which you are acquainted with as to which you have no idea of, definitely you will be able to solve it a bit faster. And then
Yes.
again, I also feel that one should not neglect this just thinking, oh, maybe it was just one time thingy, because I feel like after CLAT 2024 everybody still didn't give importance to statics GK because they were like, oh, it's maybe one time thingy, and obviously
Yes.
that happened. So I feel like if they were able to do it once,
Mm-hmm.
what are the chances it again. So definitely now there's no option. Just brush up your theories again if it's been long, or
I still
yeah.
remember in my 6 months batch, that Conquerors one, I taught them
Hmm.
analytical reasoning and static GK both. In fact, I taught them the
Yeah,
whole Indian national movement from the Gandhian era till the partition.
yeah.
So, in fact, I was happy that okay, AR आया है, मेरे students अच्छा perform करेंगे. But then I solved the AR का question, and I
Hmm.
was not able to get to the like find the answer by one or two
Hmm.
times. Then I was
Hmm.
sure that okay, the question is wrong. All right,
Yeah.
talking about you have talked about GK. Now, since there is a
Hmm.
very good thing that I am sometime I feel like okay, maths was something which was my subject, so I was strong on that. But talking about you were not that good in maths. So, what were the things which you used to do in maths to make sure that okay, I'm not good, but still I have to be sure कि
Hmm.
exam में मुझसे अच्छा हो जाए. So, what's your take on
Hmm.
maths, and what would you suggest them that if your maths is weak, then what should you
Hmm.
do to prepare at least a certain level of attempts in the quant section?
Right. So for me, I think my math situation was very peculiar because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I would say I'm pretty good with the calculations and the
Mm-hmm.
sort of math that we are used to doing in school and everything. So what used to be my problem was that I was, like we would get two questions, let's say two passages. I would never be able to form that table. You have to make a certain table first with the information which is given and then
Mm-hmm.
solve. So the questions itself I was able to solve them, but वो भी आप तब कर सकते हो ना जब आपका टेबल बन जाए with the given information.
Yes.
So I was never able to complete that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was definitely, after I was sure that okay, I'm pretty decent in other subjects, so I started focusing on math more. Like I started solving it more. I would go
Mm-hmm.
up to my teachers and like have more doubts about it. And then I think for math it is pretty simple that you just gotta solve, because I feel like math के questions in CLAT, they're pretty repetitive. Like मतलब आप expect कर सकते हो कि वो they are based around certain, like we
Percentage
say
in every
percentage.
question.
Yeah,
Yes.
like that. So they're not something कि वो पता ही नहीं क्या आ जाएगा. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
once you practice again and again to a certain level, then आपको like for me मेरी problem again ये थी कि मुझे ये नहीं पता था कि table कैसे बनाऊं या how do I
Mm-hmm.
use the information. So after practicing it over and over again, तो मुझे वो sort of I started getting the hang of it. And for me the journey was like quite weird, because like I said, till like July August I was getting like zeros or so, like in every mock. And again like I said, ऐसा भी नहीं होता था कि मेरे पास time नहीं है. I would give it like 20-25 minutes, but I wouldn't be able to get anywhere. But I think this thing, it definitely got me to like getting 12s in like October and November. So yeah, for math I would say is just like practice over and over again. And
Okay.
for me it was also like initially I thought I have to do every single thing that we are being taught, like compound interest or
Mm-hmm.
speed distance, like all the complex things. But then when I also realized, when I solved the past year question papers, I realized like more or less again it is based on percentage, average, and like ratio proportion to a certain amount. So when I started, like I based my whole practice and like my work around those three topics, I think I also got more hang of it by that.
Okay. All. And now
Yeah.
talking about GK, what were the sources which you use? And did you
So
used to make handwritten notes? Handwritten in
yes,
the
I had
sense
five
your
notes.
notes. No, it's not like you have to make hard copy, but did you make notes?
Yes, I had like five
And how did you
notebooks.
make it?
Okay, so firstly, from like the classes that I took from that, so I
Mm-hmm.
started using the CLAT post from that, which was never ending for me. Honestly, I
Mm-hmm.
was never able to like end a CLAT post, and then newspaper analysis, and then by the end of it. I think one notebook was just the marathons that you did of GK.
Okay.
And so I feel like what really helped me was like a lot of students, they like the ones that I know of, like they don't really, again like you said, handwritten notes नहीं बनाते हैं. Like they are like PDF पढ़ी है या है computer में है
And
everything.
highlight
But
the compendiums.
yes, but what I feel is कि at the end November में the problem which you will face is कि करने को बहुत कुछ होगा, सोर्सेज बहुत होंगे, उस टाइम पे योर मेन प्रॉब्लम इज कि आप उसको कंसाइज कैसे करोगे. सो फॉर मी लाइक आई सेड, मेरे को बाय द एंड ऑफ इट आई हैड 5 नोटबुक्स, तो मेरा इट वाज वेरी सिंपल फॉर मी कि मेरे को I need to get through all 5 of them, and then that was it. So I was able to sail through GK with that. So I feel like handwritten notes, or at least like if not handwritten, you should concise them somewhere. So when you start with your revision circle, then it's easier for you to go ahead with that.
So it's easy for revision.
Yes.
Perfect. So how will you define your CLAT journey in one word?
A roller coaster, probably. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That was the word I used. And now, one sad and one happy tale from the preparation journey.
Okay. I think the one happy moment that I can get through like top of my head was that the time I hit over 100 in my mock. It was
Okay.
pretty late. It was I think last week of
Okay, so you
October or
guys
something.
100 because at our time the mocks were so tough that the toppers used to score 87, 88, the overall topper. In fact, if I talk about my scores, they were averaging 85. In fact, I don't think I scored 100 plus more than once or twice. That's it. I guess maximum it was 2 times. And
Yeah.
but now I am seeing that the mocks are becoming easier and easier. So, and the set tail.
I think for that, just to add to that, I think that is also because like CLAT 2024 and 2025, if you could compare it to the 2022 or 2023, they were pretty easy. So I guess they're just trying to follow that.
Exactly.
And for the sad part, I would say is definitely September, like the whole of September for me, because the problem was, again, I was not a dummy student, so I had my midterms in school and practicals of 12th. And I know I was not getting enough time to do anything for CLAT, and I used to cry every day that I'm going to be left behind, I wouldn't be able to cope and everything. So I feel like this is something which is, like really underrated, but especially for the people who are still in their grade 12 and preparing, I feel like, especially if you're not, like in a dummy arrangement with your school, I feel like September anyways is very crucial month because you're like 2 months away from the exam. And there, I think for me, it was like, I tried, that they'll just, like let me go ahead without exams, but my school didn't. So I had to, and it was like 20 days long exams, and then we also had our practicals. So I think, yeah, that was definitely somewhat where I was really sad.
Okay. So I guess you are the perfect one to ask this question. Many of the 12 studying students have this doubt that how should they manage school studies plus CLAT preparation, because very few schools are there who are okay with dummy. Most of the students just pressurize the students. Even CBSE has now arrived with rules that you have to strictly adhere to the 75% attendance rule. So what would you suggest? What are the things they should keep in mind while preparing simultaneous class 12th and CLAT?
So I feel like for me, again, it depends from person to person. For me, like I said, I have humanities, and the subjects that I had, they were very compatible with the CLAT prep. So as to say, there were a lot of like luck factors also like there. Like last year we had elections. So election was a very big topic of the whole CLAT prep. And I feel that is also something I was doing in political science. Then we had to do all the international organizations. That was something again I had to do for geopolitics and political science.
Okay.
Again, coming to that, we are taught basic, information about RBI and everything, how that works. We are getting taught that in economics. So for me, I think and I also had legal studies. So for that, it was because I already knew all the theory about laws by studying for them for CLAT. So I feel like how it worked for me was I would link both. Like rather than seeing them as separate things that I have to balance and juggle in life, I sort of, connected them. That way it became easier for me. And also I feel like CLAT, again, it is not an exam which like requires you to have a mandatory sitting of like 9 hours, 10 hours.
Absolutely.
Definitely probably towards the end of months when you have GK revisions and everything going on. But I feel like if you're sincere with, what you're practicing and everything, you could manage with like 3 hours of study every day. I mean, especially if you're going to school, I feel like you will be able to get out like 3 hours or so, especially in these early months. Because in the end months, I feel like schools still sort of give you a leeway when they know you have an exam in like 2 months or something.
Yes.
So the main problem are the initial months of grade 12. So in
Mhm.
that, I feel like you will be able to do it very well if you're giving even like 3 hours daily. Just be
And one of the
consistent.
major issue is that I guess your pre-boards clash with the CLAT preparation.
No,
Okay,
we had our pre boards in January, so I had time for
all
that.
right. Most of the students face this issue. Generally, pre-boards take place in the December month because after
Yeah.
2 months, especially those schools who take pre-boards twice. So
Yes,
okay, that is
yes.
a good take for humanities students, but still the
Hmm.
PCM students face a lot of issues managing both school
Right.
and CLAT preparation. All right. So now since जब मैंने पहले इंटरव्यूज लिए थे तो देयर वाज अ कॉमन क्वेश्चन दैट व्हाट आर यू
Hmm.
और व्हाट आर यू गोइंग टू डू इन द अपकमिंग 6 months बिकॉज एट दैट टाइम 6 months were left
Yeah.
but now only 1 month is left so definitely you will be arranging your documents the
Yes.
admission process and then
Hmm.
packing and then shifting to analyst. I guess your term will they have asked us to come to college in 2nd of July, so maybe you
Oh,
guys will arrive by 31st 30th or 31st June.
yeah. Around
That's the
that
time
time.
which
Yeah.
they'll ask you to come because they are rebuilding that NAB structure. So
Oh,
they'll
okay.
take
I
time.
I
Yes.
I heard that it got repainted with like yellow or something. Like
Um,
the main NLSIU building. It
the
was in like
library, the library tower.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So
Yeah, yeah.
they have just rebuilt the library, and it's
Oh,
the best place at NLS, honestly. Okay. So, but
I
still,
am.
do you have
Yeah.
any plans for the upcoming 1 month since you are now done with your boards, everything, and that admission process is just a little issue?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will mainly be spending time like with my friends and family
Mm.
before I come. And I actually am in the middle of this moot court prep. I am participating
Okay.
in this online moot court,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like busy with that. And otherwise, I feel like last month is when you really sort of start getting hit by the fact, especially if you live really far away from the college, that you're gonna move out and everything. So I think for me it'll be spending time with my family and friends,
Okay, perfect.
and probably
And
learning Kannada. That
okay, learning Kannada so that no auto rickshaw driver rejects you. That
yeah,
I've faced it a lot of
yeah,
times. In fact, I have been in too many arguments. So sometimes what I do is they ask me, "ए Kannada," so मैं बोलता हूँ तू हिंदी बोल. So now, why law? I mean, you told me that you have interest, but what are your future aspirations? Is it that you want to become a lawyer, or is it anything else?
For me it is definitely getting into civil services and like judiciary, preparing for judiciary.
Mhm.
Yes, so it's
Okay,
because
for the judge.
so
So you must have heard that
yes,
news that 3 years practice is
I
necessary right
did.
now.
I think it was sort of more of a positive influence because one concern that I had about coming to NLS Bangalore was that because of its academic rigor that everybody has heard of, I was just a bit concerned that would I get enough time to prepare for judiciary side by side. So I feel
You'll
like
get it in the
hearing that
fourth year.
oh, okay,
Yes.
but like
So basically, you get
a
3 days off in fourth year, so you'll have pretty much time.
right. So, but see, I feel definitely this is a saddening news because I feel like the you know judiciary people went for it was because you are able to get a secure job like
Mhm.
very soon as compared to if you go for advocacy or something. And again, it's like a paper like UPSC, it is held every year, but like again, there's no surety about judiciary like that. So a lot of concerns are being raised, but yeah, I think no, you can't really do something about that
See,
now.
for the 5 years, your mind will
Yes.
definitely change. Okay, so it was a great meeting. I hope the juniors will
Yes.
learn a lot of things from you. So, and
Thank
all
you
the
for having
best.
me.
Okay, all right.